Hello guys, welcome to another Skin in the Game. This one is going to be with Marcelo Silva. Marcelo Silva is working with Lean Manufacturing for over 20 years already, so he has a lot of experience and he brought a lot of nice contacts for us here. So hope you guys like, share the video as much as you can and give us your comments, your feedbacks and enjoy. Thank you. Welcome guys to another Chat 4.0 here. It's my pleasure to introduce you guys Marcelo Silva here in the Skin in the Game. Marcelo, thank you very much for being part of the program here and for being able to talk here with us on the Chat 4.0. Welcome.
It's my pleasure, Rafael. Thanks for the invitation, and I'm more than happy to talk to you and people that watch your channel. It's a huge pleasure for me. Thanks.
Thank you. We don't have too much people yet, but we will.
You will, for sure.
Can you introduce a little bit about yourself, Marcelo, your school background, your family, your hobbies for us, please?
Yes. Well, as you said, my name is Marcelo da Silva, and I was born in 1977 in Curitiba, Brazil. My background is IT, and graduated in IT. And after I got my graduation, then I pursued a master's degrees in logistics management. So, but that was after university and so on, because you will understand why I got that later, because that's connected as well to the lean journey that I have experienced in my life during the years that I worked in automotive companies.
So you have a IT background and then you work with lean manufacturing. Can you explain for us why you did one degree and then you migrate to another area that we can say is completely different, is another work?
When that happened, I was working at logistics engineering in one of the automotive companies in Brazil that I still work for, right? And on that time, it was a temporary job for me because I wanted to have the IT career in my life. And what happened is that I was invited during the same time that I was working in logistics engineering to be part of a project called Lean Project. That was basically to introduce the Lean philosophy and the Lean mindset in the company that I was working for at that time. And I liked the Lean journey so much that I completely gave up the IT career because I got so passionate by lean manufacturing that since I graduated in IT, I never worked with IT. My life was everything regarding lean manufacturing.
Nice. When was that, more or less?
It was in 2000, between 2000 and 2001.
Long time, almost 20 years already.
Almost 20 years.
Basically 20 years already. So
Exactly.
you have like you have basically 20 years in experience work with lean. Can you tell us in your own words what is lean manufacturing for you?
Lean manufacturing is a complete change of mindset, change of behaviors, and it's a completely different way of thinking. It's all about, inspiring people, go to Gemba, look for problems, and use the right methodology to solve it. That's basically what, when we talk about lean manufacturing, is really engagement of people, making people to see the problems and not hide them behind the rug, and really make sure that we can work it with the right methodology, right methods to make sure that we make everything flow in a smooth way. Doesn't matter if it's a plant or if it's an office environment. That is, when we talk about flow, we always talk about movement of material or information, right? In both situations, this principle is valid.
Nice. I personally, I'm a big fan of your career inside of the automotive industry, Marcelo.
Thank you.
I know you work with a lot of huge projects, especially one project where the automotive industry changed the whole way of line assemble, from having stocks on the line assemble, and they move all to the warehouse and start to manage the kits to the line assembly. That I know you were one of the responsible of that project back in the day, and I know how difficult it is to implement a huge project like that. Like you need to change culture, you need to do a lot of things. Can you tell us, like, telling stories about that project back in the days that you work in that industry automotive, like make that huge change, that huge culture?
Well,
And when was that, to be honest?
it was in 2001. It started in
2001.
2001. 2001, yeah.
So it was
We
basically in the same moment that you got. So it was like two different, two huge challenges in the same moment for you.
Exactly. It was too
Nice.
challenging in the same moment. So I was learning to work as a logistics engineer, and at the same time, I had this opportunity to work with Lee. And I can tell you that 2001 was one of the best years that I had in my career, because it was so fun to go to work and see the things happening, that really I was not going to work. I was like going to have fun, because it brings a lot of rewards. You feel rewarded to see the change that you do, and you see that it works, and you see that it brings results to the company. So basically, we got a challenge to implement a new product in one of our assembly lines, and then we didn't have space to put that product into the assembly line. So what we did was well, not me at the time, but it was the management team that was looking for alternatives, and then they came with this brilliant idea to have a consultant guy that was an expert, a guru in lean manufacturing, that told us about all the lean manufacturing methodologies. It was not a lean manufacturing introduction, I would say, or philosophy on that. It was a lean manufacturing project, because we created then the lean management system afterwards when we learned about it, right? So basically what we did is we started optimizing parts of the assembling line, removing the material, removing the wastes that we had on the line, because we using some basic tools like spaghetti diagrams, using value stream mapping, using just the eyes to see wastes into the assembly line. We were able to really identify the wastes that we had. We were trained to see the 7 wastes, and then by being trained and get our eyes prepared to see those wastes, we were able to understand, use basic tools that we have into the lean methodology and philosophy to optimize the work that the operators were doing at the line. Basically, what we identified was that the operators, they were picking parts inside the line. They were walking to pick parts. And basically, according to the 7 ways, it doesn't add any value to the operator. And then it was also consuming a lot of line facade by having those pallets, full pallets of parts being along the line. So basically what we did is we removed those pallets, we removed all those inventory and buffers that we had at the line side, and we put that in an intermediate area, what we call the kitting area, right? So by using that philosophy, we were giving the operators the possibility for them to work as a surgeon. When a surgeon, you had the surgery in your knee a couple of weeks ago. So the surgeon, when he's performing the operation, basically what he does, he doesn't walk to get the tools that he needs to perform the surgery. Basically, he has everything by his hands, right? So basically what we did on that time was to give the operators the parts that he needed to install in the truck in the right quantity and in the right time. That's the basic concept of just in time. If you follow the TPS, that's the Toyota production system, right? So basically, Toyota, what they consider as value added for the customer is just when the operator, they pick the part, they set the part into the product, and they type it. That's the only thing that Toyota considers as value added. So we were trained to see that. We had a big challenge in front of us because we had to implement a new truck into our assembly line, a new product, but we were not able to invest and expand our buildings.
As normal, there's no money ever.
Yeah, and I think that was a good challenge because it motivated us to do something different, right? So by doing that, we were able to see things that we would never see it before, right? So it created a complete different movement inside the organization in order to achieve that. So basically, that was the beginning of everything. If I can summarize that, I could talk about this for hours and hours, but basically, that was the how we started. Right, we started into the assembly line, into the one of the areas in the cab area to be more precise, and we were implementing Kaizen events, which we called on that time station by station. So
I
we
remember to
started
hear that.
in the first line, in the first station in the cab line. We optimized that. We have done the Kaizen events. We did a lot of improvements. We were moving parts from that specific area to the kitting area, right? We were then optimizing the work that the operators were doing inside the line, bring the parts that he needed for those specific products very close to him. Then we started to work with a kind of standardized work on that time. That was not really a perfect standardized work because we were learning with that. But it was the start of the standardized work in that company. And we were really making sure that things were sustained before we moved to the next station. See the ways you improve and you sustain it.
Yeah, that's very
Because if you
important.
don't sustain it, it will fall back, and then everything that you did, it will be a waste because you will spend time in something that will not be sustainable. Things will fall back. And that's very important, and not to work with tools and methods. You have to work with people. That's a key message that I would give for anybody that is starting with lean manufacturing now.
Nice.
More than learning about the tools and methods, you have to learn how to work with people.
Yeah, I think that
they make the things happen.
That goes straight for the next question that I have for you here. Like, if you have to implement the lean culture and everything about lean in a different environment where they have no idea what is lean. So thinking about it like in a company or a place, work environment, they have no idea what is lean, and you were hired to implement lean on that place. How you start that, with your own experience?
The experience that I have today tells me that we need to work with the management team first, with the leadership of the organization. If you have the buy-in from the leadership, and if you have then the strategy, the lean strategy being cascaded to the lower, all the way from the up, from the higher hierarchy in the company, all the way to the shop floor. If you have that strategy cascade down, that will work. And if we don't get that commitment from the leadership in all levels of the organization, we will not succeed. The organizations will not succeed. I have been in one seminar in São Paulo, Brazil, years ago. I think it was 2010, if I remember well. And I had the opportunity to listen to John Shook, that was one of the lean gurus. That is one of the lean gurus, and he came from Toyota. And he worked for Toyota for many years, and he wrote several books, and he is the kind of chairman of the Lean Institute here in the US. And I remember, like if it were today, he told us 80% of the companies, 80% of the companies that work with Lean, that start working with Lean, they fail. And then he asked us why. Then nobody could answer, or we answered different things. And he said, basically, those companies, they fail because they don't create Lean leaders, right? So you need to have leaders that are believers in Lean. It has to be in your blood. It has to be on your DNA, right? Because you are a leader, it means you guide people, right? And if you guide people, you have to guide people in the right way, to the right place, right? So you have to be a believer on that. So that's key in a Lean journey. Work with your leadership, make sure that they know, make sure that they have the understanding of it, and then you cascade that strategy to all levels of the organization, all the way from the top to the shop floor. And that's a key. That's key for any Lean journey.
You work with Lean, but you've been working with Lean for over 20 years already, and you work with Lean in different cultures already, in different countries. You've been working with Lean in Brazil, you've been working with Lean in Sweden, and you've been working with Lean in also and here United. There's another country that you implement Lean already? You work with Lean, or just these three?
Yeah, actually, I worked for this automotive company in Brazil, in Sweden, and I still work for them in the US, but I had global responsibility. So I worked with people from Belgium, France,
Nice.
Poland, Japan, Australia, India, you can name it.
So it's bigger than our talk. So how is that challenge for you, like to implement Lean? We know that Lean, it's Lean. Doesn't matter where you go, doesn't change. It's the same. It's the same methodology. It's the same principles. But the culture changes. Like the culture that the people you are working changes. How is that challenge for you to work with Lean in so different environments?
I think the key for me, or basically what I have learned along the years, is that we have different cultures, but culture can be you can overcome barriers when it comes to culture if you have the right approach, right? If you are a Lean believer, if you are a Lean coach, you have first to create a relationship, understand a little bit of that culture, and again, work first with the leadership that is that's leading that organization that you want to implement Lean. Basically, if you understand a little bit of the culture, right, and you work with the leadership team, everything will be easier. Then there is no barriers for Lean. Again, understand the culture, work with the leadership team, and the barriers are gone. Then it's a matter of educating people.
Nice. So Brazil, the factories in Brazil, they are known for being for having a very good Lean manufacturing level. I'll not say like it's perfect, but they being very known for for having a good Lean manufacturing level. Why do you think we have so good Lean background in Brazil, in the factories in Brazil, at least in the automotive industry?
I think that we as Brazilians, knowing our culture very well, we are passionate for a lot of things, right? So, and then since we basically in Brazil, we don't use to question leadership.
That's true.
Right. So basically, what the leadership tell us to do, we do it. And if you listen to the leadership, and if the message that they give to you is a very appealing message, like the Lean message is, of course you put the passion, all the passion that you have to make that work, right? So I think that's the reason that we Brazilians, we have this I would say easiness to work with Lean manufacturing, and the other thing is we are not afraid to try. right? So
That's true.
because Lean is about you try, it's continuous improvement, talking in different words. Like you try, if you measure it, you do the improvement and you measure it. If it doesn't work, try it again until you find the best setup for that specific improvement that you're working with. So I think we Brazilians, we have that flexibility we dare to fail.
Yes, we're not
We
afraid
dare
to
to
fail.
fail, but we need to fix, and we fix it fast as well.
That is true.
I think this is connected to our culture for sure. But again, it has to be connected with the leadership.
So you have a brilliant career already, Marcelo. So one question here, like if you could return when you were 18 years old, what advice you give to yourself and what advice you give to the new generation that's come today and they have the desire to work in the industry environment, specifically with lean manufacturing?
I would, if I could go back in time 20 years ago, I would like to have more coach from a sensei, to be honest, to really try to understand deeper the lean philosophy, because when we started that project in Brazil, basically we had little education and we very little education, and we didn't have the time because the project was so tight and we had a lot to do that we had to learn basic tools in order to make that happen, right? So basically, if we could have learned more about lean, and especially this leadership part, that's the soft part of lean, that would have been much easier for us to deal with certain things. But the thing is, what I can say to people that is starting now is believe in this because this works. That's what I say. Believe, study, go into the books. Internet on the time was very limited. We didn't basically Google didn't exist, or it was just a baby on that time. Internet was limited inside of our factories, so we had to get books and learn it, and we had to get people from outside, like consultants, that tell us what they they had to offer for us in terms of knowledge. Now, the world is just in front of every people. You can search for like lean manufacturing, and you get whatever type of information you need. You
Much
have
faster.
YouTube. On that type, we didn't have YouTube. Today, you can learn about lean on YouTube, right? Without not even going to a formal education about lean manufacturing. You have basically everything that you need in front of you.
Yeah, so it all depends of the person. They need to have the desire to learn, and they go and they
Exactly.
they
So
can learn too fast.
exactly. So you have to be passionate by that. I think it's not only me in everything you do in your life, right?
Yeah,
If you want to do the right thing, you need to be passionate, and you have to study, and you have to listen to more experienced people, right? So that was the reason that was emphasizing about having the sensei close to you, or to teach you because those guys, they have more experience, they have faced different, uh, how can I say, different. They have
challenge.
had different challenges and different experience in their lives that has enriched they so much that they are able to coach and tell us like, don't go in this way because you hit the wall if you go that way.
Yeah, that's the reason I created this channel here, Chat 4.0, to make interviews and to keep that knowledge, at least a little bit of the knowledge that you guys, people like you that has a lot of knowledge and experience already to share with us here.
Mhm. Yeah, I think
So
it's really good. I think you are creating something that will help the new generation of people
yeah,
that has the willingness or has the passion to work with lean manufacturing. I think that they can come to this channel and look for useful information.
getting the end here, Marcelo, we have the last two questions here. What 2020 brought for you as a lessons learned? Which was not an easy year to no one in the world, and I'm pretty sure that brought some lessons to you. Can you like give us like what was the lessons learned of this year for you?
Well, it was a year that everybody learned a lot, right? So it was difficult. But what I could see that companies or organizations that had the lean the lean philosophy already in place, they came back faster than the others that didn't have it, because basically it's part of their DNA, right? Even if you have a layoff, you send people back home, you know, to, guys, there is no production, we have no orders, you stay home, and in 3 months you come back. So the organizations that had that lean mindset already implemented, or had that mindset in their DNAs, they recovered much faster. So they have basically, it's like nothing happening in between. It's like a weekend. You stop on Friday, on Monday you start in the same way.
Yeah, but it
That's
needs to
one thing
happen
that I
in the
have learned.
So we have last question here, Marcelo. Thank you very much. It's been very, very nice talk with you. A lot of experience. Can you advise us a book to read? A book that you say you need to read. That book is very good.
This one.
Yeah, I knew. I knew that was
Toyota
this
Kata.
Toyota Kata.
Because if you look here, is first they are not talking about tools and methods. You see what they say first?
Managing
people.
Team managing. Yes.
Managing people for improvement, adaptiveness, and superior results.
Nice.
So basically, this is, I always say when I coach people, right? Toyota never denies a visit to their plant, right? You can go, like, if you are interested to go to a Toyota plant and you have the right connection, they will never say no to you, because they are not afraid to show what they have done, because what they have done is something that any engineer can do. If you look at the assembly line, it's not, you see, Toyota doesn't have sophisticated devices, they don't have sophisticated stuff. Everything is very simple. Everything that they do is using gravity, basically. If you look at their logistics systems, if you look at their manufacturing system, they don't use pneumatic stuff, or they use, but not a lot. Basically, they use a lot of gravity, right?
Nice.
To develop their device. And what they say usually is, guys, copy whatever you want here in this plant. They are not afraid of this, because you cannot copy culture. What makes the difference is the culture. I can hire 10 Toyota engineers and put them in my plant and do a whole transformation in 1 year. If I don't train people to act according to the Lean principles, and if I don't make the leadership, to be believers of Lean, everything will fail in 1 month.
Completely agree.
That's the key. You have to create a culture when you talk about Lean manufacturing. It's not only about implementation of tools and methods. And that was something that basically we learned after the first year of the project in Brazil, right? When we introduced the changes that were the hard changes, I would say, layout change, movement of material from here and there, implementation of tools, developing people, we had to create a management system that had to sustain everything that we created, right? So again, it's all about people. It's not about methods and tools. It's like mechanics. You can be the best mechanics, or you can have the best tools in the world. If you don't know how to disassemble an engine and assemble an engine, the tools are just tools. Right?
The tools will not work by themselves.
No. That's an analogy that you can do with Lean manufacturing.
Nice. Marcelo, getting the end here. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for participating here in the Chat 4.0, and we share with us a lot of knowledge and nice histories here. I'm a big fan of your work, and thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, Rafael. Anytime that you feel that I can contribute, you can contact me. It's always good to talk about it. You know that I'm passionate about it, and I think I will never stop doing this in my whole life, because this is a concept that you can even bring it to your own life. You can be better every day, right? the Kaizen word basically is about it doesn't came from an industry vocabulary. It doesn't came from that. It came from the Japanese culture. That's be better, you as a person, more than you were yesterday.
Nice. Thank you, Marcelo. Thank you very much. See
Thank
you
you very
soon.
much. Bye. Take care.